What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. Now this week wasn't really anything that I saw that was super important in the news. You know, they're still going on, of course, about the Wuhan sickness, so that'll probably be going on for quite a bit, for a little while. I'm guessing it's probably going to last at least 2 to 3 months, at least, before things actually start getting back to normal. So this week I was asked to kind of do like a little short review on a television show that Netflix just did here recently. It's called The Tiger King. I didn't know anything about it. It's not my thing. Something like that, reality drama TV kind of thing, it's not really my thing. However, it does have an old crime involved in it, a kind of a murder mystery, so that piqued my interest when I was told about that. Now, I was asked to check it out by one of my subscribers, so I decided to do it. In short, the whole basis of the show is like a documentary about this guy named Joe Exotic, who basically breeds and sells and raises exotic pets, mainly big cats like tigers and such. He also has like kind of made a little zoo out of it. Basically shows him starting a business, and then it goes into detail why he started the business and yada yada yada, backstory. And then there's this. He gets involved with this feud with this woman named Carla Baskins, and they get into it. She's pretty much doing the same thing he is, but she's calling herself a preservationist. She goes on social media and gets all these people to believe in what she's doing, which is basically the same thing he's doing. And then she wants to pretend she's self-righteous and try to get PETA involved and cause a bunch of problems for him. Well, in turn, he causes a bunch of problems for her. So they're both screwed in the head. They're both loonier than they're dumb as a box of rocks. I don't think there was one, when I watched the special, I don't think I saw one person who really had their head on their shoulders, who seemed decent enough. They were all just dumb. Everybody was an idiot. Anyways, eventually Joe gets supposedly in trouble for apparently hiring a hitman to go and kill his rival Carla. However, there's a bunch of crap in the middle of it that makes no sense. A lot of people think he was framed or set up. So there's one other thing that really got to me was the I think it was like the third episode. They go into detail about Carla's past history, his rival, Joe Exotic's rival. Like I said, what he was doing, she was doing for years upon years before she did this self-righteous turn, like she didn't do nothing. But she was literally doing the same thing. Now there's more than just these two. There's a ton of other big cat people or whatever, and they go and visit each one of them. But it mainly focuses around Joe and this Carla woman. Now Carla, in this, like the third episode, they go into her backstory. Come to find out, she married a multi-millionaire. He wasn't actually divorced when they met. He was still married. He left his wife and his kids to be with her. She was really young. She's in her 20s and he was in his 40s. He kind of got her into the whole cat thing, the big cat thing. And they started collecting all these big cats and then selling them, breeding them and selling them and all this other stuff. So pretty much the same thing as everybody else involved in the show. However, they were going through some serious rocky times. He was planning on divorcing her. He let everybody know something's going on. She's been threatening me and yada yada yada. If I disappear one day, she killed me. Flat out. He said, if I disappear, she's the one who did it. Well, lo and behold, he disappears. Just a few months after he told everybody this. Now, at some point in time, her father and her brother got involved, and even though she claims, well, I haven't seen my brother in years, blah, blah, blah. Well, the guy is on the, he's a cop. He's with the sheriff's department. And apparently, her dad will do anything for her. It just seems to me that, like, she killed him, and then her dad and her brother helped cover it up. Plain and simple. You could definitely tell that's what happened. They took care of the body and whatnot, Now Joe was trying to throw out theories that, she fed him to the tigers, or she buried him in this septic tank or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't think either one of those are right. But he egged her on about it. He was trying to get at her and everything because she was attacking him and his business. But she definitely killed her husband. There's no doubt. All the facts are right there. She literally went to this woman's office who had the last will and testimony of her ex-husband, stole the ex-husband's last will and testimony, and redid it, rewrote it all. And on the paper it says, in the likely chance of my death or disappearance. It literally says it right there. They talked to several people, that deals with wills, like attorneys and such, and they're all like, no one puts that on their will. Never have we ever seen that. So, someone helped her out, and she killed him, flat out. She definitely is a murderer. They just don't have any proof. They can't prove it. Even though, all the evidence is circumstantial, but it's there. It's plain sight. You know she did it. They just can't prove it. Anyways, regardless of that, this bitch is greedy as fuck. She is super greedy, and her husband's just as bad. Her new husband, this Howard guy, he's a dick. But anyways, he's dumber than shit too. Anyway, Joe Exotic, he kind of brought it on himself. He's gay. He's got 2 husbands. Both of them claiming that they weren't actually gay. They just liked all the gifts he gave them. So they basically bisexual is what they were. Because he lavished them with gifts. That's the only reason why they went along with it. But apparently, the younger of the couple, he committed suicide. The other one, he actually ran off with one of the employees, and they ended up getting married. Now, right after his younger husband's death, it wasn't 2 months later, Joe's marrying another young guy. They brought in a couple of guys who were basically con men. This Jeff Lowe dude, and some guy that Jeff Lowe brought in, this Allen guy. And he's really dumber than a box of rocks, the Allen dude. Jeff's not too far off. He's not all there. Anyways, they basically set Joe up and make him look like he's a hitman, because Joe was mouthing off all the time about wanting to kill Carla Baskins. So they used that against him, set him up so they could get him out of the business. And Carla and her husband went along with it, because they were able to get rid of him and put him in jail. Now he's doing like 22 years, or that's his sentencing anyway. And now he's just going through all his archives and data, and he's letting PETA get a hold of it so they can go after all these other animal big cat caretakers or whatever. They introduced this one character named Doc, and Doc apparently has a ton of exotic animals, which he also kind of like got like a little zoo thing going on. But then they have to mention like he's got 3 or 4 wives. And he's kind of like, his little area is like a cult. They all have to live there. They come in when they're really young, and then he tells them, if you become one of my partners, I'll elevate you and you get this big house and blah 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 blah. So it's kind of messed up. He's kind of got a little cult going on with his place. But anyways, they're all dumber than box rocks. Every character on this show is dumber than box. Well, they're not characters; they're real people. But you get what I'm saying. They're all dumber than shit. The worst, of course, is Joe and Carla. They're the 2 worst. They're both loonier and in a box of rocks. They're dumber than a box of rocks. But anyways, I thought the show was hilarious because they're so stupid. They're dumb. It's just funny watching them act like dumbasses on camera. But that's how I feel about the show. It's you'll get a good laugh at it if you watch it. It's hilarious because they're just so stupid. Other than that, You know, like I said, it's not really my type of show, but that's my opinion about the whole thing. You know, Carla definitely deserves to go to prison for sure. Joe deserves to be there too. He's done some stupid shit. He was kind of a dick to his employees. Carla's the same way. She gets volunteers to come in and do her dirty work for her, you know, so she don't have to do it. She's a bitch, flat out. She deserves what's coming to her too. Karma's a bitch. You know, Joe got his karma, and now she needs to get hers. She definitely needs to go in prison for murder for sure. They both did wrong. They both deserve to go to prison, plain and simple. Anyways, that's what I think about the Tiger King. If you want to watch it for laughs, go ahead. You know, they're all a bunch of hillbilly redneck sons of bitches. You know, they're just dumber than shit. Next thing I want to talk about is I never thought I'd do this, but I went ahead and watched that stupid Star Trek Discovery. I wasn't going to do it. That's why, you know, I haven't done a review on it, because I just heard so much horrible crap about it. Seen clips of the show. I knew I wasn't going to like it to begin with, because it's an Abrams Kurtzman timeline offshoot crap. Oh, it's an alternate universe. Not when you change every single little detail. But anyways, I watched it so I can give you guys a review on it. Star Trek Discovery. First of all, it's a lot like the new Star Wars. You have a Mary Sue character throughout the entire show. Both seasons, 1 and 2. They introduced this Michael chick, who's a Mary Sue character, into the Star Trek lore history by claiming that Spock had an adopted sister, which is the dumbest shit I ever heard. But anyway, she's supposed to be an adopted sister of Spock and grew up with the family and was actually supposed to go into the Vulcan Science Academy and all this other baloney. And then she turns it around and enters Starfleet instead. I can't stand her. She's absolutely terrible. That character is terrible, terrible. She has to be in every single episode. She has to go on every single mission. She literally badgers everybody and tells them what to do. She's Miss Perfect. She's always right. You know, that kind of crap, you know. It's just dumb. But anyways, that's how I felt about her character. She should not have been in there, period. The uniforms are god awful. They're absolutely horrible. And yeah, so the uniforms, like I said, they're terrible. They're just these blue jumpsuits with the Star Trek insignia, or Starfleet insignia. Sorry, not Star Trek. And these weird looking cuffs over the shoulders. It's terrible. They're absolutely horrible. Whoever designed the suits deserves to be fired, plain and simple, because you suck. Once they get to season 2, they eventually show, you know, the colored uniforms from the original Star Trek when Pike shows up. However, instead of using those, they went right back to the blue jumpsuits and made Pike get a blue jumpsuit. I was just like, oh, it's god awful. Give me a break. So that's one of the problems. One of the major problems that everybody has are the Klingons. And I happen to agree. Those are not Klingons. Those are Orkions. Just these big rubber ball bubble heads. The makeup was horrendous. I mean, really horrendous. That person should definitely get fired. Whoever did the makeup. They changed the Klingon culture for the most part. For some reasons, don't ask me why, they don't explain it. Supposedly, the Klingons have disappeared for 100 years or something. Now all of a sudden they're back, you know. No explanation as to why. Of course, you know, Michael, the black chick, she supposedly starts the Klingon War. Yeah, it's all her fault, you know, it's whatever. But anyways, you know, the whole entire, both season 1 and 2, literally everything evolved around her, you know, it was all around her. It's just dumb. You know, because on all the other Star Treks, you could view them as an individual episode and still know what's going on. In this Star Trek, you have to watch, it's a serial, you have to watch it episode by episode, back to back, or you're not going to know what the hell's going on. The original, you know, the other Star Treks, the earlier Star Treks, you know, they had like a meaning behind the episode, you know, after every episode, whereas, you know, kind of like Apostles' Fables. That's not done on this one. This new Star Trek, or whatever you want, woke Star Trek. You also, you know, it had the earlier Star Treks, they had a, you know, a main plot throughout each season, but like I said, you didn't have to watch them in sync, one after the other, to know what's going on, or to get caught up. At no point in time in the history of Klingons, or in Star Trek lore, or canon, has there ever been a female chancellor. I'm sorry. It doesn't exist. You have a female empress, but she's with an emperor. So a female chancellor is not ever going to exist. So that was a big fuck up on their part. Let's see, what else? There's so many. Bringing in the whole mirror universe bullshit really irritated me, because they had to bring back that Oriental chick, you know, that was her captain at the first. Now she's the emperor on the mirror side, like whatever. Oh my god. And she's like this super badass. She's like a super android, you know. She can't be hurt. She does all this karate bullshit, you know. And you know, she kicks everybody's ass, you know. She's just super badass. And I'm like, whatever. Jeez. The woman's like 50 years old. Come on. But anyways, that was a dumb character. In season 2, they went with the whole Terminator route. You know, the AI learns, becomes powerful, and then obliterates all life scenario, which we've seen 100 million times. That's what they went with for season 2, and it was dumber than shit. Stupid, just dumb. So the storytelling is really bad. I mean bad. They also introduced some time traveling crap in season 2, which really made no sense whatsoever. It was dumb too. The Spock character, they gave him a beard and he looks dumber than shit. Doesn't even look close to what Spock should probably look like. Let's see, what else? Another problem I had with the show was the fact that they were introducing all these new species instead of going with the original species that we still don't know a whole lot about. They decided to introduce a whole bunch of new species, which if you're going to do a Star Trek set in earlier times, you need to stay away from trying to introduce a whole new batch of species of aliens. I like Star Trek Enterprise, but that's one of the problems I had with it, is they were trying to introduce the Xindi and blah blah blah, which you don't hear or see anything about the Xindi in any of the other Star Treks, which is supposed to be after Enterprise. So the same thing with this, you know, don't introduce a bunch of new species that nobody knows anything about or has even heard of. Stick with the main species that at least some of us have heard of, you know, or know that they're there. Now, if you want to introduce new species in a time that's like after Next Generation or whatever, that's okay, because you're meeting new species. But you can't introduce them early on when there's no record of them. The Suru guys, the real tall dude, you know, I liked his species. I really did. I even liked the fact that they had another species on their planet that they were in conflict with. You know, I like the idea, but the problem is that you're introducing a new species no one knows anything about and is never heard of into canon, or trying to introduce it into canon and lore that it shouldn't be there. So, and they did very little with this character, you know. They just did, I think they did one episode with a backstory. The rest of the time you didn't know much about him. The same thing with the robotic chick or whatever, you know, I can't remember what her name was. Commander Alphi or I can't remember what her name is, but they had a robotic chick. She's more like a cyborg. She's part human. And they did very little with her character. I mean, they told a little bit of a backstory with her. I mean, very minimum. But yet you see her constantly throughout the entire show. So that kind of irritated me. And then they killed her off, you know. They introduced a little bit of backstory and then killed her off. Right then and there. And I'm like, what the you didn't even... Okay, whatever. So you don't really know much about that character. You got a couple other guys on the bridge that they show all the time, but you don't know anything about them except for their name towards the end of the second season, you know. He calls them out by name, that's it. Let's see, what else? They did that a lot. Why? Because they wanted to focus the whole story on that stupid Michael. The worst character in the whole series, Michael. But yeah, it's like everything was about Michael. The whole thing. Michael this, Michael that. You know, it's just, You know, whereas on the other Star Treks, they did it like a soap opera. You know, that's why they call it a space opera, because they bounced around between all the characters and did a little backstory on all of them throughout the entire the show. You know, a little here, and then later on they do a little bit more with that character, that kind of thing. And all the missions, you know, it wasn't always the same people on the mission. You had change-ups, variations, you know. But in STD, it's always her. She has to go on every single mission. There's nobody else who can do the mission but her. We need to send her, you know. I'm like, whatever. Why you got all them people on that ship then? You know, with all the different backgrounds and shit. Now we're getting to the redhead. Tilly. Oh my God. The most annoying character on the show. You know, the kind of just... I get she was supposed to be kind of that way, but man, they made her really bad. I mean, she just... 50 miles an hour, you know. It's supposed to be her character, but still at the same time, it's like... I mean, she played the part very well, because, my God, I wish they would gotten rid of her. She was super annoying. And I noticed one other thing about Tilly. When you start watching the very first season, she's, you know, fairly thin. She's got a, you know, an average body weight. But as you get into way to the end of season 2, that girl gets chunky. Yeah, she gains a lot of weight. So I don't know what happened there, but anyways. And yet she's supposed to be, you know, running every day around the you know, the saucer section of Discovery. Right. Because that's working for her. Anyways, moving on to the next character. Alright, now we're going to talk about the engineer. The fact that he's gay didn't bother me. I could care less if he's gay or not. That's just, who cares? As long as the story's good, okay, fine. So he's gay. Whoop-de-doo. I did find the fact that, you know, him being the drive or whatever was interesting. However, in the first season, they introduced the talagrades or whatever the fuck that thing is that they hook the machine to get the drive to work, and then they're able to instantly go anywhere in the universe. You know, I'm like, okay, that's a bit of a stretch. Why would they still have warp capability long after that if they're going any place they want to? That's dumb. The tardigrade or whatever the hell it's called was actually an idea stolen from a video game, and that's the whole reason why they changed the whole tardigrade thing. You know, why they didn't go with that again in season 2, because they got in a lot of trouble over that shit. However, they got the money and they paid off them judges so they can keep it. Anyways, that's another problem I have with it. The character was fine. It didn't bother me. The doctor was annoying as fuck. The guy he's supposed to be in love with. I absolutely hated that character. I don't know why, I just did. For some reason, he was a dumb character. You know, not before, but after he came back from being dead or whatever. That's just dumb. It was dumb. Dumb character. The guy who is supposed to be in love with Michael and is actually a Klingon turned human, I thought was pretty dumb too. He didn't fit in at all, as far as I'm concerned. They tried to make it where he'd be a spy or some, but it was dumb. It was lame. Whoever came up with that idea should be slapped in the face, because that character was dumb and retarded. The whole Section 31 crap, come on. Give me a break. Nobody cares about Section 31. That was all dumb too. I don't know why they put that in there. So yeah, they left it off to where they go into the future, and that's the end of the series. So it was dumb. It was so bad. It was absolutely terrible. I hated it. Absolutely hated it. I hope they don't do another one. Please don't let them do another one. Get rid of Alex Kurtzman and the woke Star Trek crap. Ugh. It was god awful. Alright, that's all I have to say on that Star Trek Discovery. It was so bad. I didn't understand why they had all their technology looked super brand new. It didn't look anything like the old technology. The Alex Kurtzman Abrams timeline is a really bad timeline, and they shouldn't be doing it at all. Personally, I would like to see more of, another Enterprise right after, Star Trek Enterprise, but without the Xindi, with the old races, the Andorians, the Tellarites, and maybe a few of the other older races that we haven't gotten to see much of. We don't really know a whole lot about. That's what I'd like to see. Them first learning and discovering, the galaxies closer to ours, the first beginnings of the Federation. That's what I'd like to see. Let me know your thoughts down below about that, if you would like to see something like that or not. Alright, movie holics, let's get on to your B-rated movie reviews. We're back to Sci-Fi week this week, so I saw a couple of sci-fis I figured I'd go ahead and review. Now, I had seen one of these when I was really, really little. The other one I never even knew existed. Both of them are offshoots of Star Wars, but a lot of people's never even heard of them. The first one is called the Ewok Adventure, and it was done in 1984. It's more made for TV. It starred, of course, Warwick Davis. He's the one who plays Wicket. And then Aubrey Miller is the little girl. And then Eric Walker is her older brother. There was no box office numbers for this. I don't think you're going to find anything for like TV made movies. But anyway, like I said, it's an offshoot of Star Wars. in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Basically, the story is, some family crash lands on this planet, which is Endor. The mother and father, they get captured by this giant orc. It looks like an orc. The brother and sister, they run across, of course, the Ewoks, And then the Ewoks help them go and free the mother and father from the orc. The orc has them in this little cage or whatever, and they go in his cave or whatever, and they free the parents. And they have to fight off the orc giant or whatever, but they prevail. And then the Ewoks and the parents and, you know, the kids, they all end up back in the village, you know, celebrating and stuff. And that's pretty much the whole entire gist of the movie. Now, it was an okay little kid's adventure kind of thing. It wasn't bad. It wasn't super great, but it was okay. You know, it didn't bother me. The brother was a little annoying. He was kind of bossy. He thought he was, you know, super badass, and he kept getting them into trouble along the way to free their parents. But it all came out all right at the end. You know, happily ever after. Blah blah blah. Like I said, it's okay for, you know, a kidsy, whimsical fantasy sci-fi. It's, I gave it a thumbs up, thumbs down. Like I said, it was alright, but it wasn't the best. The sequel was done in 1985. Again, it was like a TV made movie, and it was, you know, another Star Wars offshoot. And it was called The Battle for Endor. Now, like I said, this one I'd seen when I was real little, when I was a little kid. And I didn't remember a whole lot about it. I knew it was, you know, I liked it back then, but I was a little kid. So, you know, a lot of things I liked back then I don't like now. Anyways, I watched this, and it was surprisingly a lot better than the first one. Now, in this one, they pretty much kill off the entire family except for the little girl. I'm not sure what to call them. They look like trolls. You know, they're about like, you know, 6-7 foot tall trolls. And they raid the Ewok village at the very beginning, and they take a bunch of Ewoks captive, including the little girl and Wicket. But the little girl and Wicket, with the help of the others, escape. Wicket and the little girl, they show up. Somewhere in the woods. They run across this other little guy they call Teak or something like that, and he's like super fast, like the Flash. You know, he's just Anyways, they follow him to a hut where they introduce Wilford Brimley as the old man. And of course, you know, Wicket's Warwick Davis and Aubrey Miller's the little girl. That's your stars of the show. But anyway, at first he don't want him to stay there, but then he starts liking him and he allows him to stay. And then they turn around and you have this evil witch that works for the trolls, and she basically kidnaps Aubrey Miller, and then the old man and Wicket and the little Teak guy, they go after the girl. They end up in the castle of the trolls. They have to break all the tons of Ewoks from the prison. They escape from the castle. They all escape from the castle, and the trolls come after them. They're after a power module that'll. The trolls just call it the power. They want the power. They think it's going to give them some kind of magical power. You know, Wicket and the little girl and the old man, they take the power cell, and he has an old ship from when he crash landed with a buddy of his who's now dead. They power up the ship, and then they have this big battle scene with the trolls and all the Ewoks and the ship and everything, you know. And then at the end, the witch has this little magical ring she uses for magic. Well, the main troll leader or whatever, he has it. He ends up screwing around with it, and it turns him into like some kind of stone or ash statue, something like that. And that's pretty much the gist of the movie. The old man and the little girl, they take off in a spaceship, and that's it. That's the end of the movie. This one was a lot better. This one was actually decent for being a real cheesy kids flick movie. You know, I give it 2 thumbs up. It wasn't bad. You know, the acting was decent and all. So if you kind of like that kind of stuff, go ahead and check it out. You'll probably like it. Like I said, they're both offshoots of Star Wars, so it's kind of surprised, you know. But this one was quite a bit better than the first one. That's all I have for you this week. Leave a comment down below if you have any suggestions of some older movies that might be gems that I might not have ever seen before, and you want me to review them for you. Go ahead and leave your, like I said, leave your suggestions in the comments below. Also, give me your thoughts on, I'd like to hear your thoughts on, you know, the whole Tiger King and Star Trek Discovery too, you know, what you might think of them if you've seen them. Anyways, that's all I have for you this week. I told you you'd be told the truth, and you've just been told.